Hello and welcome to my beginner's QBD guide or Queen Black Dragon guide. I'm going to just go through everything I know about the Queen Black Dragon. I'm going to try my best to help you understand how to kill it. It does take practice. It's not something you probably will get your first try, but if you do, that's great. I also want to say I'm sorry about not being very active for this past week. I've been killing the QBD a lot. I've been doing some other stuff, so hopefully this next week will be a little bit more active for me. So this is basically the gear that I go into the QBD with. So basically, it's full void. I prefer Swift gloves over having like an Arma top with like something like that with void gloves. Mainly because I do find that the Swift gloves, because they can fire double shots, very helpful. Um, your preference might be a little bit different. The reason I don't wear a Ava's device is because it does not work with the QBD. I'm not sure if it's a glitch or not, but I find my bolts just disappear anyway, so it doesn't matter at all whether I have an Ava's device. So I find just not bringing my Tokar Cal. But other capes, whatever really works for you. Obviously, an Ava's device has very high range bonus, so it can be very useful. Vampirism aura is quite helpful. Not necessary. I can do it without auras just fine. Chaotic crossbow works great, but a rune crossbow works as well. Chaotic crossbow is only more accurate, and the reality is the QBD has very low defense, so it will speed up kill time a bit, but not much. And then pretty much other gears, basic. My bolt, I use Dragonbane bolts. They are by far the most useful. However, Ruby bolts work quite well because they can hit 1,000 specs the entire way through. And if you don't have full void, just go full range gear. It's not a big deal. Other than that, just whatever range gear you can get. In my inventory, I use dread nips. They're not necessary. They do help. Pretty much like everything. Overloads, once again, not necessary help. I have super anti-fires, which is why I don't have an anti-fire shield or dragon fire shield. If you don't have super anti-fires, you need one of those and a normal anti-fire potion. In that case, that'd be another case to go with void gloves and an anti-fire shield there. I do like prayer renewals. They just help me, make me happy. Then I use diamond bolts. Those are for killing some of the other things, like when one of the tormented souls, which I'll talk about later, goes into a certain phase, you really need to kill it, and I equip the diamond bolts for that because they have a little bit more accuracy than Dragonbane bolts, a little bit more range strength. As you can see, they have 105 range strength, so it just hits a little harder, hits a little better. And then Iron Within scrolls for my Iron Titan that I have summoned. Once again, not necessary. It does help. It speeds up the kill, and it is nice to have a combat familiar because it can take out some of the other things that are attacking you and stuff like that. Other familiars that are good, I mean, obviously Steel Titan, Unicorn, any healing familiar really, or just nothing. You can do with all of it, and I do prefer having the Iron Titan though over anything else. And basically the Iron Titan actually saves you more health because it gets through the kill faster, so that's a good reason to use it. But other than that, then it's just I use 5 restores, the rest brews. The exact ratio you're going to want to bring is up to you, but I don't even use all my restores, and I use about half my brews. So this is a perfectly fine ratio for most people. And generally, it's not going to be the damage that you take, like total damage. It's going to be like getting comboed is what kills you, not total damage. I've almost never run out of brews. I have a few times while like meleeing and stuff. That's why I use range, because I find it much safer. As far as final preparations go for the QBD, you really want the life point boost from fire. So you want to start a fire, add some logs to it. You need a total of 6 logs to do that because you need 1 to start the fire, 5 to add. But as soon as that is done, which obviously takes a few seconds, slowly getting towards 93 fire making there. If I do this enough, it will happen. Sometimes you don't get the message, but it does happen. As you can see there, mine's up to 991 now. I usually just eat one to get completely to full health. Withdraw all the Cerberus, and then you just home tele to Port Sarim. Show you how to get there real fast. And through the home telling, which does take a little while. And I don't bring a teleport because if you die, just home tele to Port Sarim and you can get back really easily. In that sense, it's a very easy boss. It's kind of a safe boss. There aren't any glitches that I've seen anymore with like grays, so it's not too big of a deal. And your grave will spawn at a random point. If you don't see an arrow when you're on the surface, just come into the cave and you'll see an arrow. If you and if the arrow points like way off into the top corner, just run that way, or don't run that way. Go like down. But if it's on the surface, there will be an arrow there pointing to you to it, so it's not hard to get to. And if the arrow on the first floor of the cave was pointing like way off north, then just come down to this level and it should be around here somewhere. And then here's the cave, so that's pretty much it for getting there. As far as preparing right before you go in the boss, basically you actually don't need to do much. You just go in. Once you're in there, the boss has a fairly long opening cutscene kind of thing, where it kind of wakes up, if you will. And in that time, that's when you should overload. You should drink all your pots. I drink 3 brews and 1 restore, and I get my Dreadnought ready, and that's really about it for that part of the battle. Also here, I circled the 4 pillars, or the 4 Dragonkin artifacts. These 4 things you'll have to touch at the end of each phase. And I'll tell you which one to touch when I'm going over the phases, but those are just the locations, and after each phase, a bridge will be built to the next one that you have to touch, so you can touch all of them by the end of it. This is the fire wave, which I'll talk more about when I get into the actual phases and the number of fire waves and stuff like that. But basically, there will be 1 gap in each fire wave, and they're always in the same 3 spots. They'll be random on each one, but they'll be the same 3 locations, and each fire wave will have will not repeat the same location. So you can only have, like, if it's on the west side, it'll be on the east or the center for the next one, and then vice versa for the next one after that. And you'll see that when I'm going through the kill. Okay, into the actual kill. Phase 1, you have no tormented souls, 1 fire wave. So basically, instead of having the 3 that I showed in that last picture there, there'll just be 1, so it's much easier to avoid. And you'll be tagging the center pillar at the end of the phase. And that's the center northern pillar, more specifically. So this is by far the easiest of the phases. So once the kill starts, if you have them, use your Dreadnoughts. If you have it, use your Iron or Steel Titan or any other attacking familiar. But that's not necessary. Just start attacking the boss. You want to stay behind or equal to the middle pillar there in terms of distance to the dragon, because anything in front of that, the dragon can melee, and its melees hit for about 300 and are very consistent, especially with this type of armor. Other than that, for this phase, it's not that hard. Just make sure you're potted up and make sure you are staying alive. There's really not a lot in this phase that will kill you. When it does bring a fire wave, go to one of the 3 locations. So there's that one there, there's the one just west of the pillar, and then there's one kind of on the farther east side. But there's only 1 fire wave, so it's pretty easy to avoid. And other than that, just attack the boss and get it down as fast as you can. Now, as you approach the end of the phase, you want to try to stay close to that center pillar while staying alive once again. This is because if you tag the pillar fast enough, you don't get any of the giant worm spawning, which can hit with magic and hit pretty consistent 200s. So that's kind of like the goal, to tag it quickly. And there's another fire wave. Go to the eastern side on that one. And so if you tag it fast enough, as you'll see here, there's no worms that spawned. So once you tag that pillar, you go on to phase 2, which has the first tormented souls that you will face, but there's only one that will be summoned each time, so it's not too hard to deal with. You have 2 fire waves at once instead of the one, and the pillar you want to tag at the end is the southwest pillar. Okay, one of the hardest parts on this phase is avoiding the tormented souls on any phase really. And so I've just slowed it down really slow for you guys. You saw it live right there. But basically, when the tormented soul is summoned, you'll see a purple thing in your chat box. And then kind of once it appears, that's when you usually want to click to the left to go basically run through it. Now, its Chaos Cloud will actually hit itself for about a 200, which means you avoid the damage completely. Now on to the rest of the phase. I'll just show you a live, or not live, but just normal speed commentary. Here you see the double fire wave coming, and basically, obviously, just avoid that like normal. You actually do have to run between them, and keep in mind that if you do miss those, then you can get hit a 400. And here's the tormented soul again. So as you can see, I just quickly run to the left, and it works fine. Now, depending on how fast you get through the phase, that might happen again, so do pay attention to it. My Iron Titan usually deals with them for me, so it's not a big deal for me, but it is something you do have to pay attention to. But just kind of keep your eye on the screen, and it shouldn't be too bad. That's one of the hardest parts of any of them, but since there's just one, it's not too big of an issue if you get hit by it. And other than that, really for this phase, it's just keep your life points high and go about killing the boss. Try to keep a Dreadnought out, a Iron Titan out, and yeah, just kill the boss as quickly as you can. When you start getting towards the end of the phase, you'll see me here fairly soon. Gotta avoid this tormented soul though. But basically, I'll switch to being on long range. Oh, here's a fire wave first. And basically, I will wait for it to basically be the pillar to go red, and I will run towards that pillar. So as you can see there, it went red, and run towards the pillar. Hopefully only one worm spawned. So on to phase 3. Phase 3 is moderately difficult, but still fairly easy. There's 2 tormented souls, 3 fire waves, and you'll be tagging the southeast pillar. This one's actually very similar to phase 2. It's just you have 2 tormented souls and another fire wave. Other than that, it's pretty much actually the same. Now once again, I'm going to show you how to avoid the tormented souls. So basically, 2 will be summoned instead of the 1, and you'll just want to run basically to either side. It doesn't actually matter, but once you see them spawn. So basically, you'll see the purple chat in your text box, or whatever it's called, in the chat box. Then you want to see him summoned, then you click, and if you do it right, you should avoid both of the hits, and both of them will go on to one of the tormented souls. And it really doesn't matter which way you run. Sometimes if you do die, or if the tormented soul dies, then it will one of them will come hit you, but it's usually not too big of an issue. So as you can see there, I just ran through the fire wave. I didn't have a chance to avoid it, and I got to kill a worm this time. That's the first thing you should always do on a wave. Hopefully there's only 1 or 2 of them summoned, so it's not a big deal. But if there is one of them summoned, you got to kill it quickly. I switched my diamond bolts for that. And here's some more tormented souls. And basically, as you saw there, just kind of run to the left, let them take the damage. You don't want to be taking that damage. That's quite a bit of damage. I mean, 2 200s adds up very quickly. And so then here's some fireways. As you can see, I have to run all the way across, which kind of is a pain. But if you do it right, you can avoid it completely. And as you can see, you just go into the same 3 locations. As you can see there, I kind of missed on the fire wave. I got hit 2 200s. That's one of the big risks of fireways. That's why you want to try to avoid them. And definitely be careful that you don't accidentally run back through it, because I've done that before where basically you end up getting hit like 6 to 800 damage if you screw up that way. Another note right now is the Queen Black Dragon, or was blue. Basically what that means, when it is blue, it takes more damage from range and melee hits, so that's a good time just to try to get more damage on the boss. Turn back to blue here. And so when it's like that, definitely try to be attacking the boss as much as possible. Try to get your Iron Titan or Steel Titan on it, because it will do more damage, and basically you can get through phases a little bit faster because of that. It's not necessary though, you can get through it either way. It's just something that kind of adds like a little bonus, if you will. But other than that, kind of as you approach the end of this phase, you want to eventually find yourself on the kind of the southeast side. By the way, what it's doing right now is it's healing off the Tormented Souls. That's another risk from the Tormented Souls. I usually find it's not a big enough deal to bother with it, because honestly I spend more time killing Tormented Souls than it's worth it, because I deal enough damage against the boss anyway. But that might just be my opinion. You might find it a little bit better to go ahead and kill him. But as you approach the end of the phase, you want to turn it back onto long range, kind of get towards the back, and hit the boss enough times so that the pillar turns red. As you can see here, I kind of got unlucky, and the soul spawned right then, so you're just going to have to tank that and get the pillar done, because that's your primary priority once the pillar turns red. So once you get to phase 4, this is by far the hardest phase, and by far the easiest one to die on. So there's 4 Tormented Souls with time stop, and I'll explain that when I get into it. There are 3 fire waves as well, not 4. That they kind of give you a break on that one. It has a super breath attack, which can hit 270s for like constants if you're standing in the middle. And the pillar you want to tag is the south center pillar. But once you tag that, the fight is over. So once again, I'll show you the Tormented Souls first. So basically, unlike the other phases, they'll spawn kind of around you. So you want to run diagonally instead of being instead of focusing on like running east or west. So because of this, you do want to be careful on how you click, because if you run sideways and then diagonal, then you'll still get hit. And there's 4 of them, so that can hit 800 damage. Now, even in this one that I'm showing you as an example, basically the 3 of them hit the first one hard enough that the last one came and still hit me. That'll happen quite a bit, but don't worry about it. 200 damage is a lot better than 800 damage. And as you can see there at the end, one of the souls had time stop, started basically talking about time and stuff like that. When that happens, you want to go kill it as fast as you can. Now, here's another example of this, and I'm pretty sure in this example I don't succeed at killing it. And there's the super breath attack, where basically if you're standing in the middle, take a lot of damage. If you're standing on the sides, a lot less. So you want to be standing on the sides in those cases. That's the orange text. But as you can see here, I'm kind of failing at getting this killed, and then your screen turns green. Now I get pretty lucky here. I don't take a lot of damage, but basically the boss will continue attacking, but you cannot brew, which is real pain. And if you get unlucky and it has fire waves coming, it's easy to die. Now on to the rest of the phase though. As you can see here, just starting from phase 3. So basically you want to run in, and once again you want to deal with the worms first. Kind of got unlucky here, 2 of them spawned. But it is very possible to avoid them as much as possible. Another note, I forgot to note this beforehand, don't stand over the water. You'll take pretty much constant 200s. Now, as you can see, the worms do hit quite hard, so that's why you want to kill them quickly. Just switch to your diamond bolts and get them dealt with. And as you can see, the boss is healing, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Focus on getting rid of the worms and focus on killing anything that has time stop. As you can see, 1 just spawned and is going to start doing the time stop. Fire waves coming, unfortunately, but that's something you just have to deal with. You have to go kill that thing that's doing the time stop, otherwise you will be in deep trouble. Now in this case, I'm just going to tank the fire wave because I know I need to get rid of the time stop. Whenever there's time stop, that is your primary priority to get that thing killed. Otherwise, it's so easy to die. Now, other than that, really just go about the thing like normal. You kind of want to stay out of the middle, as I said, because it does have that super breath attack. So try to avoid staying in the middle a lot because obviously it can hit, as I said, constant 270s, and it hits it like 3 or 4 times in a row. So as you can see it right there. But if you're standing on the side, as you can see, it's hitting just like 50s and 80s and stuff like that, which is a lot easier to deal with. Other than that, this phase goes fairly normally. It's just there's a lot more KO potential with the Super Breath attack, 3 Fire Waves, Time Stop, and 4 Tormented Souls. And especially the 4 Tormented Souls, that's when I think a lot of people will have trouble with. Because if you don't run diagonally, and it's kind of harder to run diagonally when you have such a big area. As you can see, 4 spawned here, and this was just kind of a very perfect one for me. Basically, I just ran right through 1, killed 3, and 3 of them killed 1, and I just took a 200. 200 is a lot better than taking 800 damage, let me tell you. And also for that reason that there's so much KO potential, try to stay fairly brewed up on this phase. It doesn't always work out, but if you with enough practice, you will succeed. As you can see there, kind of once it gets down to just having 2 of them left, usually only they'll spawn like east-west of you. And so basically you really have to just play it by how you see it and just try to run through one of them. Another key, don't run through them too early, or the Tormented Souls is what I'm specifically talking about here, because if you run through them too early, then they'll move aside and you'll just take the full damage. But as you can see here, it's turned back to blue, and here's just an excellent chance for me to basically get the boss killed as fast as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to really focus, especially when it's blue, you really should be focusing down on just hitting the boss as much as possible. Obviously, time stop's your priority, but if you can, get the boss dead when it's blue, just because you hit so much faster, or so much more often, basically, is what it comes down to. But other than that, really, it's, as I said, it's just fairly normal phase. As you can see, it turned red here. I kind of didn't realize it for a second. So worms started spawning, but as soon as you tag that pillar, the fight's done, and the opening pops up, and just go through it. And after you successfully finish that kill, this is a different kill, by the way, just went and did one real fast, you will come down here and just open it. You have to press spacebar. Oh, that's actually my first item that I've actually gotten. That's awesome. Royal Sight right there. And hopefully you get stuff like that. And Torstal Seed, that's quite valuable, and all that other stuff. So, yeah, quite good reward. And I'm actually really happy about that. I just got Royal Sight. Just while making the guide. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the QBD. If you have any questions, of course, post them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. Well, thank you very much for watching. I do hope it helped. Good luck on getting really good loots. Maybe you'll get a Dekite, maybe some Dragonbane upgrade kits, stuff like that. But it is a very worthwhile boss to kill. I find it very fun. It takes a little while to get used to, but eventually you'll get good at it, and you'll hopefully be very successful. And maybe a little lucky and get some good rewards. Normally, today I would have, as I said, I would have released my not my achievement diary, my update videos, but I'm gonna release this one today and that one tomorrow, simply because I've been kind of busy with some other stuff. But I do have some pretty epic stuff coming for you guys, so I do hope you subscribe for that, and please rate and comment on this video.